Hi, and welcome to Thursday Comics. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which is in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. We've reached our funding goal, but if you'd like to be part of this exciting new comic campaign, there's still time to join up by following the link in the show notes below. It's the mighty Thor, number 128. God of Thunder and Son of Zeus face the power of Pluto. I really like this cover a lot. Very dynamic, very action-packed. Marvel Comics covers of this era have this addition of like a gray wash throughout, kind of, gives it a little extra oomph. I like the choice here, this sort of unconventional choice that you wouldn't ordinarily see in the coloring of a Kirby comic, but to make these warriors all sort of in undifferentiated shades of gray, and then this sort of like pink skin. These are the hordes of Hades. At last, mighty Thor has redeemed himself in the eyes of his royal father Odin by defeating the evil Sea Ring. But even a god can be injured by bolts of fundamental energy, such as those which the desperate traitor has hurled at the immortal Avenger. Conceived in grandeur and produced in glory by Stan Lee, writer, Jack Kirby, penciler, Vince Colletta, inker, Artie Simic, letterer. Verily, we have spoken. And this issue takes place almost entirely in the sort of, mythological land. There is a short interlude in Hollywood, but it takes place on a Hollywood set that was created by Greek gods to look like Olympus. So, Thor has sort of migrated from superhero comic to just pure fantasy comic. And we're going to see more and more of that as the series progresses. Let silence reign, the god of thunder doth take his rest by order of imperial Odin. He sleeps, 'tis good, soon the strength which is his birthright shall return to yon noble body. I wonder, this like super deluxe, Viking bed that he's sleeping in. I mean, look at the details, this sort of gargoyle that's overlooking everything, this war horse. I wonder if it doesn't say so in the text here, but I wonder if this is the bed where Odin sleeps, the Odin sleep, that maybe it's got some like mystical power that can, help Thor heal his near-death condition. The immortals of Asgard are immortals, but they can be killed. They can live forever if they keep eating their diet of golden apples and are never, killed by any outside force. They can live forever. Sort of like tortoises, I suppose, that there's nothing in the genetic makeup of a tortoise that would make it necessarily die the way most animals and human beings do. How fares the son of my heart, physician? He hath tottered at the brink of the eternal sleep, my lord Odin. But the glowing strength of his limbs, coupled with the matchless courage of his spirit, shall surely restore thy princely offspring to thy bosom, sire. With that taken care of, now Odin has to take care of the guy who caused all this, the traitor Sea Ring, and he sentences him to exile. I've been transported to another part of the universe, beyond the golden veil of Asgard. There, over the horizon, living forms coming closer, closer. Behold, the prophecies have come true. At last a king has been sent to us. We shall never let him go. Rock trolls, the ugliest, most bestial creatures of all. Even death is preferable to the company of such as these. This, then, is my fate, to rule these monstrous beings on this barren, forsaken world forever. Pretty cool ending for Sea Ring. Kind of reminds me of in the first Toy Story when Woody and Buzz end up inside of that machine with all those little alien guys. Now we cut to a beautiful splash page, very similar to the kind of things we'll see in the New Gods, these visions of New Genesis. Beautiful sculptural landscape with all these little details. You can kind of get lost in all the little steps and little temples in the background and this great statue of Apollo. And Hercules is admiring all of this and the verisimilitude of it all, how it really does look like his home of Olympus, even though it's a Hollywood set. I like the simplicity of these guard, these like red guard figures in the background. And here comes Hippolyta. Hercules has his agent with him. You know, this is going to be a big Hollywood production. And then boom, this is your screen test, Hercules, defend yourself. I'd better go and reread the contract. So now he's got to fight this giant monster, and then I'll rend it asunder with but a single blow. No, we have seen enough. The test is over. A sudden wall of living flame. Truly thy technicians are masters of their art. Indeed, your robot foe was far too expensive for us to allow you to damage. You are all I have heard you are. The role is yours. I shall make you the greatest star of all time. Your name will become a household word. Know you not that the name Hercules hath been hailed for ages throughout the known universe? And now, I mean, look at this sumptuous banquet they've prepared for him. And I guess, you know, some of the stories, I haven't been able to track down all my copies of all these comics. They're just, you know, somewhere around here. But I was able to track down this copy, this issue, Thor number 128. I have been reading for the past couple episodes from the Thor Treasury edition. And I thought it was worth noting, because of the proportions of the Thor, of the Treasury editions, they're a little bit shorter and wider than normal comic book proportions. So sometimes they have to trim a little bit out of the pages. And so, and also the coloring, the color printing on here seems very vibrant when you compare it to the printing in here. The coloring's a little bit washed out. The ink is not quite as crisp. And then you'll notice there's like a little bit of extra detail that on the bottom of these that gets cut off to accommodate the different proportions. So now Thor's starting to do a little bit better. He's strong enough to go hunting, but it's still a gentle hunt. You know, he's hunting while lying down in a bed in this sled. He's doing a lot better than he was prior to this. There, out of their ice holes, they leap, seeking food upon the surface. I choose the largest, the Farging ice holes. But the golden-haired immortal is still weaker than he knows, and the rifle's recoil causes his shot to go wild. By the bristling beard of Odin, I have missed my mark. The beast fish are angered. See, they attack. This is just, you know, there's all this great invention going on all through this issue. Just, you know, these really beautiful landscapes and architecture and costuming, this sort of, you know, ice outfit, this like sort of winter outfit that Baldur's wearing. And then these creatures, just a really cool fusion of like a walrus and a fish and a dragon that Kirby's concocted. And now they're attacking the ice skimmer, and Baldur fights them back, and they're off. Thou art still too weak for sport such as this, valiant Thor, true faithful friend, but my strength returns with each passing moment. Soon, Baldur, soon shall I be god of thunder in fact as well as name. And then let Hercules beware. So Thor's still got his grudge going against Hercules. He's just waiting to get his strength back so he can fight Hercules. Now we're back with Hercules. Pluto keeps wanting him to sign this contract. Oh, before we forget, if you will just sign this contract, a mere formality, of course, an annoying trifle to be quickly disposed of. So yeah, this is that, you know, Faust kind of thing going on. But what nonsense is this? The text doth say Hercules must rule the netherworld for all eternity. Oh, did I not tell you it is merely the theme of our picture? Surely the powerful Hercules is not afraid to sign. That's like an old sort of Marvel Comics trick where you manipulate somebody into doing something by saying, oh, you're not strong enough to lift that, or you're not brave enough to do that. According to the plot of the movie, you conquer the entire netherworld by defeating Pluto in battle, and I remain at your side all the time. That thought doth please me greatly. That would be really cool if the actual story of this comic ends up being that. Enough talk then. Herewith the thumbprint of Hercules. The pact is sealed. He signs with his thumbprint. He's royalty after all. You know, it'd be like using his royal seal. I've won after all these ages. You signed it willingly. And so now all the pretense drops, and Pluto reveals himself as pulls off his sunglasses, and you see he's got the sort of blank eyes of a Kirby character imbued with, cosmic power, maybe even kind of a proto dark side. This whole thing was just a ruse, and the floor opens up and we see the stairway to hell. By signing that contract, Hercules now has to be, he becomes king of hell, but part of being king of hell is you're sort of trapped there. And Hippolyta was part of the ruse. Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons, then this be not play acting. No, Hercules, I am Hippolyta. I am the one you spurned those long years ago, the one who swore she'd have her revenge upon thee. And I'm not feeling it in the dialogue, but it looks like in the body language, the acting, the face, that Hippolyta maybe has some regret or remorse for her role in tricking Hercules. And I have to say, like, at this point in the story, yeah, Hercules has been sort of, a blowhard and whatnot, but I really do feel bad for him at this moment in this story, being tricked in this way. And so now those monsters come out. Turns out they weren't mechanisms, they were actual monsters. Be thou titan or troll, be thou demon or ghoul, the son of Zeus yields to none. So they've kind of bit off more than they can chew, trying to take Hercules by force. I like the way this trident cleaves into the rock behind. Hercules swings it right back at them, bends one of the tines. And now Thor has recovered enough to actually be able to fight his buddy Volstagg in this kind of Robin Hood versus Little John, kind of situation, a sort of American Gladiators, Poogie sticks confrontation. And I think this is the first appearance of Volstagg in the actual, like, current day portion of Thor. He's been in the Tales of Asgard, but Tales of Asgard ends up being sort of a resource for story ideas to feed into the main story. And Thor defeats him, so his recovery must be complete. He can defeat this Volstagg. Oh, infamous moment! Who will ever believe so impossible an event? Who will glug? Now that Thor's okay, he asks permission to return to Earth so he can have his rematch with Hercules. Odin sends him back, and he shows up and sees the carnage and the wreckage left behind of this epic battle as the hosts of Hades are trying to drag Hercules to hell. And look, this is just really great. This is just amazing stuff. I love this, like, centaur that he's fighting. The colors are terrific. Basest of villains, though thy numbers be limitless, my mace shall crush each of thee in turn. And Thor comes into the fray and just, like, shatters everybody's weapons. Thy strength, thy valor, they are worthy of Hercules himself. Why didst thou not battle in such manner when last we fought? Time and now for talk after our task here be done. Let us end this charge with greatest speed, for there is a greater score to be settled between ourselves. By my beard, I understand thee not, Thunder God, but it shall be even as thou sayest. So Pluto sees, things are not going his way. He does one of those cool, mystical gestures that Kirby's so good at, and he and Hippolyta disappear to Hades. Now Thor and Hercules, really join forces. They together grab this big column and throw it at the bad guys who've now disappeared as well. The Prince of Power, doomed to spend eternity as ruler of and prisoner of the accursed netherworld. It is almost beyond belief. This then is no time for us to wage final battle. Thou hast a far more terrible fate to face. The Thunder God departs. Shall I ever know his like again? Next issue, the verdict of Zeus. So yeah, we've been building up to this rematch with Hercules. Thor's been, getting himself back to full strength for it. And now he's just not in the mood because, whatever Hercules is going to have to face is way worse than any punishment Thor can dish out. The endings of the past bunch of issues have been really amazing. And they usually do involve, Thor walking away from somebody. Tales of Asgard, home of the mighty Norse gods. Aftermath. Script, Stan Lee. Penciling, Jack Kirby. Delineation, Vince Coletta. lettering, S. Rose. And as always, with the lead feature and with the Tales of Asgard, Jack Kirby's not just the penciler, he's also the co-writer. According to Vala the prophetess, the day of Ragnarok is almost at hand. Ragnarok, the end of the world. Even as Vala speaks, the assembled gods witness in their imagination the last approaching moments of Asgard, as she predicts the Golden Realm being racked by fire, flood, and the flames of battle. So this is kind of where the DC universe and the Marvel universe connect. This final battle of Asgard lines up really nicely with page 1, issue 1 of the New Gods. Looks to me like the epilogue, the end of the old gods, is the fall of Asgard. This then is what the prophetess foresees. This then is what the omens portend, the final fateful battle between good and evil, the culmination of a contest which has endured throughout the ages. Just, another great panel here, just really amazing stuff. And in the vanguard of that cataclysmic struggle leading the destructive forces of evil is the Midgard serpent, whose staggering size beggars human description. Then, as the universe-shaking battle continues to rage, as forces beyond the scope of human comprehension are unleashed at will, Asgard itself is finally torn asunder by a monumental explosion which shakes the very foundations of infinity itself. This lines up real nicely with page 2 of the New Gods, except in there it clearly shows it splitting into 2 halves. So, this is like, the first draft. Finally, nothing remains but silence. Silence. Grim, utter, endless desolation. The awesome remnants of an age, a glory that is forever gone. So, man, just the amazing aftermath of battle. And again, it's got all its mythic stuff. It feeds into the New Gods. But also, Jack Kirby lived through war and he'd seen the devastation himself. Then from the nameless depths rises Surtur, the merciless fire god. Unable to live since all have perished, he sears everything about him in a final act of blind fury. Until at last naught remains of Asgard but a charred, smoking mass, a celestial cinder, which shall smolder and glow while the long years pass. This Ragnarok, again, it is, part of Norse mythology, but the specifics, the specific visuals of it are very much Kirby, and this will, this will be a source of storylines for the remainder of Jack's tenure on this comic, and then in the years since, and of course, Surtur makes a really big appearance, is almost sort of like a centerpiece of Walt Simonson's Thor run. And Jack, before he's done with Thor, he does do like a big Surtur story himself. Lo, the centuries turn to ages, and the ages to eons, as the seas slowly return and vast continents take form, rising from the restless waters. In time, vegetation bursts forth over the land, as an abundance of greenery, of lush, verdant flora once again fills the air with the scent of reawakened life. A life soon shared by the young new race of gods. Look, the word new and gods right on top of each other. It's right there, the New Gods, which joyously takes domain over all it beholds. Pretty much every myth cycle has, this sort of story of like destruction and rebirth and fire and water. And this looks a lot like Adam and Eve, but then this also feels a lot like the sort of destructions and the flood and with Noah. And in time, this new race spawns a new civilization, a new golden age, a new rebirth as glorious as any the world has ever known. So again, this sure looks a lot like New Genesis in the New Gods series. For this is the destiny of God and man alike. This is the lesson supreme. All that live must die, but all that die shall live. I mean, it's also, like the story of Atlantis. From all accounts, Jack was planning to introduce the New Gods series at Marvel, and that he would have it spin out of Thor and maybe even be part of one of those kind of like, big universe changing events, the sort of things that would become standard issue in later decades, but Jack was already cooking one up, and by the time he would have been ready to launch this, he was already souring on his relationship with Stan Lee, and so he saved those ideas and took them with him when he went to and used them to sort of pitch to Carmine Infantino when he was making the jump from Marvel to DC, and everybody's very somber, very quiet, watching the death and destruction of their civilization, everything they know, everything they love, everything that they thought was going to last forever, including themselves. And then Loki says, "Speak not to me of Ragnarok, for it shall never come to pass. 'Tis but the empty cackling of a worthless hag. Surely mighty Odin does not believe. Know you, Loki, the prophetess cannot utter a falsehood. She sees what she doth see. Ragnarok shall come, and thou it is who art the cause." I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which is in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. We've reached our initial funding goal, but if you would like to be part of this campaign, you can find out more by following the link in the show notes below. I'll see you next Thursday.